Welcome to another episode from HenRefurb, part 2 of the chassis restoration project. This episode I'm going to be doing more pushing of pins, more body filler, but of course most importantly I'm going to paint the chassis, so stay tuned. So we had some problems with this, but we've just installed a new seal kit and now I'm going to try pushing this pin out again. Okay, so only one pin to go. Just got to remove my bit of sandblasting, sealing proof stuff. There's probably no point in having bothered doing that, but I had no idea what I was planning on doing right back then when I started that. So. Whoa! Jeez! It was suggested that I just wind up. Oh, gee! Gonna shorten this and come up with a better way of holding it. We've shortened the pin to allow room for this new toy to fit over there, which would give the puller a bit more purchase, hopefully. And it should be able to pull a bit harder without letting go. This is a powerful tool.
Doesn't want to give up, does it?
No.
Oh, gee. I think we're winning.
I think it moved. Wow. Take that, 90 years worth of glue rust. No match for this beast. Wow. Is that it? I think it's just done now, or is it going to...
I think it is just creeping out there.
Jeez.
It is just creeping out.
Yep. Wow, that was insanely tight. There we go. The last pin out. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for sanding. Update time. A week has just passed and I'm back on it again. I've tidied up a little bit just to make it easier to work on. It's gone rusty, obviously, so I've got to sand all of the rust off and whatnot again and then work out what I've got left. But there's not a lot left to actually fill now, so I'm going to finish the filling with the chassis this way up, prime it this way up, and then turn it over and start working on the other side, because I don't want the rust to come back. So there's a couple of spots along these edges, these corner edges, that need doing. So along here there's just a little bit of roughness, although I've sort of already done that one. But I was thinking of taking this and reforming it so it fits this shape using a heat gun or something, and then I could probably just skim that shape the whole way along in one pass, because it's really fiddly otherwise, because you can't skim it like that, because then it scrapes the filler out of the pits if there are any. And then the other option is to go around like that, which just takes forever and it's really hard to get right. So I'm going to have a go at that sort of thing by reshaping this a bit. So what you saw there was me getting fed up of having to do filler with all the speckly stuff and not being able to see anything I'm working on properly, and covering the chassis in primer. So now I can get up close and I can see what's left now that needs to be just skimmed over with a tiny little bit of filler just to make everything perfect. So it's a hell of a lot easier to see what I'm working with now. It's all one colour. And once I've got this side all perfect, I'll turn it upside down and do the rest on the bits I haven't done yet. Okay, well here's a quick update. So the chassis I've flipped upside down. I was starting to get a little bit fed up of working in the dark and whatnot. It's really difficult to see what's going on, and it's kind of become winter since I've been working on this. It's gone really cold and really dark in weather. Anyway, it's this way up. I'm getting all the rough stuff filled and sanded and smoothed out just like I did on the other side, and then I'll get a primer layer on there so that I can see just, how much extra work I need to do. The stuff that I did on the other side is looking really good. I'm really pleased with it so far. And now I've got some extra toys, mega spotlights there and there, which is providing me a pretty incredible amount of light and heat, which is very good at this time of year too. So that should help me now, because it was so dark I couldn't see when I was getting to the real fine stuff on the sides where I've painted it all grey. I couldn't see if there were any imperfections because it wasn't clear enough, but these things are just brilliant. It's like having 4 suns in the barn. So time to continue slogging on, and eventually I'll finish one day. think this is probably the first time in 90 years that the chassis has just been one uniform colour, so that gets a thumbs up. It is by no means finished. I've still got a lot of sanding and a bit more skimming to do on it to get it all smooth and right, but it is making very good progress. And the reason I've stuck primer on it, I think I mentioned before, even though I've not quite finished it, is just because in England you got to paint stuff, otherwise it rusts in about 5 minutes. So even in the summer stuff was rusting, and now we're well and truly heading to the winter. It's about 10 degrees outside now, so that is Celsius, if you were wondering, for those of you across the water. But yeah, so I'm just going to carry on now and skim the bits that need skimming again, and then I'll just keep at it until everything's perfect, and then presumably I'll prime it and paint it black, which will be amazing. Okay, so you just witnessed the first decent coat of primer that this has now had on the underside. So this is, to be honest, nearly the whole chassis now painted in primer. The finish is really good, it's really smooth, there's next to no blemishes. There's just a tiny set of spots dotted around that need looking at. And then once this is perfect, I'll flip it back over and finish off the top side. But that shouldn't take long because I'd almost finished the top side before I flipped it over this way. The reason I flipped it over this way, I think, was just because of what I had paint-wise and stuff, so it made sense to just get it the right way up and carry on working with what I had at the time. So yeah, I don't think there's any filling left to do with body filler. There might be maybe just a tiny bit, but that would be it. So we're getting there, finally. We are getting very, very close now. I've spent the day today preparing the barn for the top coat process, and the only thing left to do on the chassis now is to fine sand it ready for the top coat. So I'm going to sand it to 800 grit so it's really smooth, ready for the top coat, so it looks lovely. And I'll show you what I've done with the barn. Here's the chassis now, up really high. It's about, I don't know, about a metre off the ground. So there's tons of room for me to crawl underneath now. And it's not too high, so painting over the top will be easy as well. And the barn, I've completely sheeted and covered the roof, created a sort of gigantic spray booth, if you like, which should keep all the dust and rubbish off. And next weekend, the weather is supposed to be really warm, dry and stable. So, with any luck, that's the weekend that it gets painted. Okay, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Barn's ready, the floor has been cleaned and it's soaked in water so that I can't kick up dust when I'm walking around. The chassis is sanded completely smooth, cleaned, dusted, you name it. The barn has been lifted up to temperature, so I don't know, it must be about 17 degrees Celsius or something like that in here. Time to paint it black. This is just the first coat so far, and my God, does it look incredible or what? I cannot wait to see the finished project with this one. It's going to be insane. Well, get a load of that. It is looking absolutely incredible. Bearing in mind, this is just the chassis. So, yeah. I'm very, very pleased, I must say, and I am so glad it's finally over. So, having got this thing in this condition now, I decided I should probably keep it well protected because, man, I'm not going through all of that all over again to fix any damage that's on it. Really, really pleased with it. It is so smooth and so shiny, it's just incredible. So, yeah, I'm so happy, and I'm so happy it's finally done. So that, of course, brings us to the end of this big two-part project. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. I think it's a window of opportunity now to start getting some of the smaller stuff done a bit quicker and get the project rolling again. If you've got any questions or suggestions, as always, pop them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, see you next time.